No. Yes. If you see me, am I live? Okay, so that confirms that today's live stream has begun. I have a new ukulele, which apparently needs to be tuned. You know, one thing that I really want to do is that I would like to make a like guitar tuner, string tuner, violin tuner, ukulele tuner application. My brain cannot concentrate on more than one thing at a time. So I'm not going to sing or use the ukulele right now too much longer. I just wanted to see how that goes. I'm here. So welcome everybody. Today is a Tuesday. It is I don't know if it's technically the summertime yet. It's June. I have listened to you all, many of whom have said, I'm a little tired of the machine learning TensorFlow.js stuff. This is not the end of the TensorFlow.js machine learning stuff, but I'm going to take a break from that today. I will be back tomorrow, and I'm going to tomorrow work on building an actual classifier with some actual data. That's the next step that I'm going to do in my machine learning tutorial series. And I'm going to, at the end of this live stream, talk about the data set that I think will work well for this idea that I have. So I'll be here for a couple hours, and sometime about a half an hour before it's time to go, I'm going to start trying to build a little web page where I'm going to crowdsource this data set about color that I want to talk about. All right, so I'm going to have to erase this in a moment. So what am I going to do today? So it's been a little while since I just did some frivolous algorithmic coding challenges, and so that's the plan for today, to catch up on some of those. So let me head on over to Rainbow Topics. I'm going to go, one thing that I do is if it's something that I'm kind of thinking about doing soon-ish, I assign it to myself. So I'm going to go here, and these are the ones. Now Simon, loyal coding train viewer Simon Tiger, has suggested quite a few excellent suggestions that I just have not gotten to recently. So Barnsley's Fern is one, and the other one, Sandpiles, is another. So these are the two that I would like to do. I was going to say this morning, but it's really not the morning. These are the two that I would like to do today. I kind of want to do I kind of want to do this. This four-dimensional hypercube tesseract thing, because maybe if I could simulate this in processing, I might suddenly be able to take over the universe. That's what I hear happens when you get one of these. I'm kind of confused. I think I might need to do some research. I mean, on the one hand, I'm looking at this, and I can see, I mean, there's really like 8 cubes here. But in a way, I see very clearly, if I could freeze this at this moment, like now, there's kind of like an inner cube and an outer cube. And the vertices of the inner cube are kind of moving and then expanding and then growing and then peeling back. So I feel like just two, what I really need are 16 points. And I just need those points to follow these consistent paths, and then I need to connect them. And that will visualize this. Right? I don't know. I'm afraid to try this right now. So I'm not going to. I am, however, going to. So I'm going to start today with Sandpiles. Let me think. Is there any housekeeping that I need to do. I have a very important question for you, the viewer watching right now. Is my voice peaking? Is the microphone, is the sound quality good? On the most recent coding challenge that I uploaded, where I solved, okay, guess what? Let's do XOR again, but like in a different way. No more XOR, solving XOR coding challenge. But in that TensorFlow.js XOR coding challenge that I uploaded the other day, I think I had the microphone turned up too high, and there was a lot of, when I listened back to it, it was my voice was peaking and kind of getting staticky. So I want to hear that this sounds okay today. Sound is great, all sides sounds good. It is like two sliding, Rosto writes, it is like two sliding cubes, one larger. I think I probably should take some time to go over the calendar with everybody. So one thing that I'm trying to do is that if I go to the channel, you'll see that this is live now, 367 people watching. And then upcoming live streams, this is tomorrow. I might push this back to 11:30, but I'm trying to get started by 11. This is tomorrow's live stream. So I'm trying to, as I know when a live stream is coming up, add them, and then you'll find them here, and you can set a reminder. Like if I click this, the reminder's on. What am I logged in as? I'm logged in as myself. And you can, I can't subscribe to myself, but you can get YouTube will give you all sorts of notifications if you want, but we need to live in a world with fewer notifications probably, so I don't want to add to the noise. If it helps you, great, but you can also, don't bother with all this. Now, oh yeah, I should also mention, I'm being told I look like Santa Claus, which I don't think anyone has ever said to me in my entire life, but I don't know, would Wilderness Dan play the ukulele? Wilderness Dan comes on the coding train. Wilderness Dan really needs to get a haircut. Oh boy. By the way, the first time I ever played this instrument was 2 weeks ago, so cut me a little slack. I was at, what's that place called? Guitar Center. Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, and I was looking at electronic drum kits for my son, who is about to turn 10, and he plays the drums, getting him a new drum kit as a birthday present. And I saw this ukulele on sale for $35. I thought, oh, I'll buy that, and I've learned a few chords. I can also play it's really out of tune though. Yeah, why is it getting? I guess it's what happens to get a cheap one. I don't think I get copyright notices if I, tuning is hard. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now. I practice. This is terrible. Okay. We're gonna compose a Sandpile song soon enough. Have I gotten fewer people? Let's see, how many people left? I'm trying to drive people away. My ukulele playing. Oh no, people are coming and joining. All right. Okay. So what was I saying? I was saying something. Before I spent, the ukulele, the Guitar Center, Wilderness Dan, who knows? Okay, so, wow. The other thing that's kind of completely insane to me is I seem to be getting remarkably close to 500,000 subscribers, which is kind of nuts. I mean, really, what's wrong with all of you people? There are plenty of legitimate places with professional, thoughtful, and knowledgeable instruction. I don't know what you're getting here, but I feel like I should do something to celebrate the 500,000 subscribers if it comes to pass. I mean, I don't know what that would be. All right, so, all right. Create a tuning tool for the ukulele. Oh, that's coming. I'm going to do that. That's why, one of the reasons why I have it up here. I'm going to do a ukulele tuning coding challenge, and I'm going to be using machine learning to recognize the pitch. That's coming soon. I should just do it today, but I'm not going to do it today. I thought there was like some housekeeping thing. Oh, I was talking about schedule. That's what it was. Okay, so this is the next live stream tomorrow. I am hoping there's going to be a live stream on Monday, June 18th, and then there will possibly be one more live stream the last week of June, and then I will be gone for 2 weeks. So just to put in your mental calendar of your life, I will not be, I'm going away on a little vacation for 2 weeks, I think June 28th to July 12th. So there will be no Coding Train live streams during that time. When I come back in July, I hope to have 4 live streams for the last couple weeks of July, and then I will also be away again for a couple weeks in August. But my goal here in terms of having these sponsors and the Patreon is to have 4 live streams per month. That would be 8 with 2. So over 2 months, 8. And so keep me honest. Let's see if I can keep that up. As always, you can always unsubscribe and do whatever you want, but that's what I'm trying. All right. People are asking all sorts of questions. I'm going to the wilderness. I'm getting prepared to go to the wilderness. In the wilderness, there is no code, no computers at all. In the wilderness, I grow the beard and I just look at the trees and the frogs. I still haven't fixed that camera. It shuts down all the time. If I had any technical ability or was able to keep organized with my life at all, I might fix that camera, but I don't think I ever will. And it's just always going to shut off every 30 minutes. Okay. Oh. Sandpiles is the coding challenge. It has something to do with sand. I'm going to see if I can figure out the algorithm, and I'm going to type it on the computer with my hand. And then it might make some pretty colors. You'll upload your own version to the internet. Then we'll leave and go to the wilderness where there won't be any computers, just something. And a thing flying overhead that might look like a jet. Yeah, it's so out of tune. All right, I really got to work on that. All right, so what's happening now? Let's do, how much time have I wasted? I feel like it's been a while since I just wasted time live streaming, doing absolutely nothing but amusing myself. And I like that there's actually, in the chat, Parth is requesting interactive MNIST with TensorFlow.js. Oh boy, I don't think I better do that today. All right, so let's move over here to where this camera has shut off. Let us clean the whiteboard. Oh, I should mention that where I learned to play the ukulele is, I think it's Christina Ukulele YouTube. I learned by watching YouTube. No. Shoot. I'm going to find the channel that I was watching. Ukulele lava song tutorial because she has a lot. Yeah, here it's Cynthia. I don't know why I thought Christina. So this is, look at this, 1.2 million views. See, come on everybody. Hold on. All right, I mean, seriously, like 1.2 million views to download. Okay, fine. I actually did pay some money, I think, when I downloaded it the first time. So, I got to get an email. I don't know who's. Oh boy. Oh, download. All right. All right, everybody. 1.2 million views. Actually, but the thing is, she's talented and can sing. And I cannot. All right. Thank you, Cynthia Lynn, for turning the coding train into the coding ukulele. The ukulele train. All aboard the ukulele train. Oh, it's so out of tune. Actually, it's not as bad as I... A long, long time ago, there was a volcano living all alone in the middle of the sea. He sat high above his bay, watching all... Okay, we gotta change this into the Sandpile song. A long, long time ago, there was a two-dimensional array. It had a lot of zeros in it, but in the middle it had one really large number. It passed its sand to its neighbors, and the neighbors passed their sand to their neighbors, and then the neighbors passed their sand to their neighbors, and it picked some colors to color it. I have a dream, I hope will come true, that sand piles will make pretty graphics for you, and then you will make your own version of it with prettier colors, because I don't go to pick colors or design. Please make some sand pile fractals. Okay. I really like that song, actually. It's only 3 chords. The ukulele is not that. I mean, you can get a lot done with 3 chords. And if I had some talent, it would be even better. I did play the violin for 12 years. Thank you, Cynthia Lynn. Not an official sponsor of the Coding Train, but I'm going to add her to my friend channels. All right. I have wasted enough time. It is time. We were going to erase the whiteboard. I'm being told to say hello to Peter Okudar, our computer studies teacher. I recognize that name. We've had emails. You're in Canada somewhere, correct? Hello. You're watching, like, in class? This is a very bad idea. Go back to class. Go back to class. Don't watch this. People are saying I'm going to get a copyright strike. You know, I'm happy to give my money to whoever composed that wonderful song. By the way, I might actually go get a haircut tonight, so this might be the end. It's summer. What would happen if I just came in and had a completely shaved beard? Would that freak people out? Because I only had a beard since, like, not even 10 years. It's kind of a thing you do once you get to your 40s and you just give up. I'm gonna erase all this. I kind of stole that joke from John Hodgman. I don't know what his wording was, but I'm reading John Hodgman's book that I am now buzz marketing. Vacation Land. Quite entertaining. I would like to read more. I would like to go to the theater more. Saw Angels in America Part 1 Sunday. Amazing. Spider-Man was fantastic. I saw the original in the 90s. So it was really kind of interesting. I don't really remember it. I was in college then, I think. I saw somebody in the chat requesting the return of the timer. I don't think this makes sense to have the timer. We'll come up with something with the timer at some point. Okay. Whew. It's good exercise. I started physical therapy for my back. I'm feeling much better. Learned a lot of different exercises. I have incredibly weak glutes. Apparently that's a muscle over here where you can't see. Really working on those. I've been running for years and years and years, but I don't do a lot of strength training. I think I let certain muscles basically stop working. And then I had that injury last summer, which probably didn't help. So we'll see. All right. Apparently we just reached issue 1000 on the Rainbow Topics GitHub. Coding challenge. So I should do, whatever is whatever is issue number 500, I should do that one for the 500,000 subscribers. And then I'll do this one when I reach 1 million. I can do this. Make an AI that solves the 15-tile sliding puzzle. I guess you would also have to program the puzzle to begin with. Now think about this. Oh boy, people are really complaining in the chat about me not getting around to anything. By the way, in recent live streams, I was coding within the first 10 minutes. When I first started doing live streams, it usually would take me at least 45 minutes to an hour to get started with anything. It's only been a half an hour. All right, let's get started. I'm going to do this in processing. And I need to pull up some references here. So I have, where is Simon's Sandpiles? Great, here we go. This is the issue. I also want to reference the number files video. Okay, let's put this somewhere in towards the end is where we get some nice pretty pictures. With a much better color scheme, a color scheme that I should maybe try to emulate. Okay. So I think this is good. And I think I'm ready. Yes, Topher in the Slack channel writes, complaints must be coming from the YouTube chat. Yes, that is correct. Oh, Greasy Woot sponsor is in the. We got to make Alka. We got to make the icons for people sponsoring and emojis and various things like that. I forgot about that. I've been waiting like a year for you to do Voronoi diagrams. Yeah, that would be nice. I should do that. All right. Little of the sea, I like to be. All right, how's this marker? I'm just going to write over here where you can't see to see if marker's okay. Yep. All right, great. Hamstring stretch. Everybody, let's do a hamstring stretch together. Okay, bend over, feel this hamstring stretch. See, this channel, it's like exercise, ukulele and sometimes sort of coding poorly. All right. Hold on. I realize I want to do this in processing. So let me get processing open. All right. Hello, it's time for a coding challenge in processing, which is a Java-based thing. You can find more about it at processing.org. I am going to attempt to create something that looks like this, otherwise known as a sandpile. So first, thank you very much to Coding Train viewer Simon Tiger, who suggested this on January 26th. There is a nice little discussion here, a link to the number file video that I just watched earlier this morning. Now here's the thing, I highly encourage you, if you want, to pause right now and go and watch the sandpiles. I keep wanting to say sand file because it's number file and it's sandpile, but anyway, go and watch that video right now to find out more about the mathematics of sandpiles. I'm going to kind of skip all that and go cut right to the chase and just look at the basic idea and then what happens when we take that idea and turn it into color in a processing sketch. So let me come over here and talk to you about the basic idea. So first of all, this video is going to, the code that I'm going to write, I think, I haven't written it yet, so is going to look a lot like the game of life, or maybe even like a blur, image processing blur algorithm. Because what I'm going to do with this sandpile algorithm is look at a two-dimensional space divided into cells. And the core sort of the core building block here that I need to look at just in the simplest way is a 3x3 grid. So ultimately, I'm going to take this algorithm and apply it to a processing sketch that might be something like 600 by 600 pixels, and I'm going to let this sandpiles thing happen all throughout this window and color it, but what actually needs to happen, I can reduce and describe to you in terms of just this 3x3 grid. Okay, so why is it called sandpile? Well, the idea is that if I have this grid here, I might dribble sand on it, and I might sort of have a few pieces of sand, like there might be 2 pieces of sand here, and 3 pieces of sand here, and 6 pieces of sand here, 1 there, none there, 3 there, 5 there, and 1 there, right? So this idea is that each cell has a certain amount of sand in it, but there is a limit. There is a limit. And in some sense, this is kind of arbitrary, but it works out nicely with this number. The limit is 4, meaning it can't actually really is 3. The maximum amount of sand that any one of these cells can have in it is 3 pieces. So this begs the question, what happens if I dribble a lot and put, say, 100 pieces of sand in that spot right there? Well, let's look at it this way. Let's say this is the initial starting point of this sand pile. There are 4 pieces of sand right here and no pieces of sand anywhere else. What happens is this becomes this cell, which has 4 pieces of sand, loses all of its sand, it topples, and the sand falls onto its neighbors. 1 piece in each direction. Just the neighbors to the right, the left, the top, the bottom. Now I'm curious, after you watch this video and you look at my code and maybe you implement it yourself, well, what happens if you change that number, the max to 3? What happens if you let the sand fall in different ways? All sorts of possibilities, but I'm gonna follow the core sandpile algorithm, the one described in the number file video. Okay, so now it looks like this, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, oh no, sorry, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. So all 4 pieces left the center spot and they went up to the right. Now, I could have a more complex scenario. For example, I could have 2, 3, 0, 0, 4, 2, 3, 0, 0. If this is the case, what happens here is the same sort of thing in that this remains a 2, This now becomes a 4. This remains a 0. This now becomes a 1. This becomes a 0. This becomes a 3. This stays a 3. This becomes a 1. And this stays a 0. Now I have this. And so on and so forth. All of a sudden, now this topples. So this goes out, and this becomes a 1, and this becomes a 3, and this becomes a 1, and this becomes a 0, and this other piece of sand just sort of leaves the universe here. Now it's interesting if we think of this as an infinite space, or if we think of it maybe as a torus where it like wraps around to the other side. There's all sorts of kind of weird possibilities we could try, but ultimately the core idea is that any cell that has more than 3 pieces of sand loses 4 pieces, those go out to the neighbors. So for example, with this 100, what would happen here is this would become 96, and we would add 1 to each of the neighbors. Then the next generation, this would become 92. So I'm talking about generations because I'm going to, on one hand, we could just look at the end result, but I'm going to watch it as an animation. Okay, that's an explanation. I am now going to go and write the code. I took way too long explaining that. I wanted it to be much shorter, but such is life. Okay, pause for a second. Did I get anything terribly wrong there? It looks like I got a super chat from John Doe in some sort of currency that I'm not familiar with. Thank you very much. I would encourage you to, instead of the super chat, click the sponsor button. With the sponsor button, I will invite you to the Slack channel. I'll mail you some stickers, and you get fancy emojis and all that sort of thing. But so of course, super chats are very nice. Okay. Nobody's correcting me. Is Simon watching? Simon, are you watching? I'm doing this for you, Simon. Danish kroner. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, of course. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to now come back and write some code. Stroopwafels. Are stroopwafels a things you... No, that's Dutch, which is different than Denmark. We Americans, please, somebody come and help us. We're so close. We need to be part of the world. We should all be learning different languages and exposed to different cultures. Okay. Stroopwafel is my favorite dessert. It's waffles and sweetness. It's cookies and some kind of other stuff. They actually have it at Whole Foods, but I don't think it's very authentic. All right. All right, I'm not seeing anyone complaining, so here we go. All right, so let's see. Do we think we could get some sort of result like this? I don't know. Maybe. Let's try. So I'm going to close the browser. I've got processing open here. All I need is a setup function and a draw function. And then I want to use a 2-dimensional array to describe the grid of Sandpiles. I mean, the thing is, I'm kind of mixing my, ooh, I got a sponsor. Pause. Welcome, Tristan Otterpole. Thank you so much for the sponsorship. I will try not to stop in the middle of my coding challenges. But come on, it's exciting. The lights, the things, the cameras, the confetti. I want to have like a little thing that like shoots confetti with hearts. I just want to have that anyway. Forget about the sponsorship stuff. A 2-dimensional array. I want to use a 2-dimensional array to describe the sand piles that are part of this processing window that I'm going to draw into. So I'm going to call that sand piles. Then I'm going to just start with like a 200 by 200 window. That'll sort of be simple. And it'll be interesting to think about the resolution or like sort of the size of each cell on this grid, but I'm just going to have each cell be 1 pixel. Because it's an easy way for me to work. And then so I need to say Sandpiles is a new array with width, new two-dimensional array with width and height spaces in it. Okay, now, then what I need to do is in draw, let's write a function to render. And to render, I'm going to say load pixels, update pixels, and I am going to loop through every single spot, every single pile of sand, every x and every y. And I am going to say, now, so what do I need to do? All right, let's, so how much sand is there? I'm going to say int num equals sand piles index x, index y. Then, according to that, I need to set a pixel. Now, the pixels aren't in a two-dimensional array. They're in a one-dimensional array. I feel like I'm Sisyphus who just goes up the hill to mention about this formula from a one-dimensional array to two-dimensional array to a one-dimensional array. I've done this countless times. But x plus y times width, that's going to give me the unique integer index of the pixel associated with the xy coordinate. Then I just need to give that some sort of color. And so let's call that COL. Now, I want the color to be according to the number of, how much sand there is. So we can see here in the number file video, 0 grains, 1 grain, 2 grains, 3 grains. These are nice colors. I'm not good with color. Somebody help me. I'm going to be very arbitrary about this right now. And I'm going to say color equals white. And then, of course, you're going to all want to tell me about how I should use a switch statement. But I'm just going to say if there are 0 grains of sand, it should be black. If there's 1 grain of sand, it should be pink. And if there are 2, it'll be some other color. And if there are 3, and if someone in the Slack group wants to give me a color scheme, I will take it. It will be this color. So let's, I don't know, let's do this. And then let's do this. There we go. OK, so now, and then if in draw I call render, what we should see right now is, whoops, oh, let's save this. Yeah, let's save this. Good idea. Let's call this Sandpiles. If I run this, we should see a black window, right? Because the Sandpiles were initialized with all zeros. I'm getting some color suggestions from the chat. I will come back and use those in a little bit. OK. Now, if I were to say Sandpiles, so the way that image was generated in the number file video, not to spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you what happens at the end of the number file video, is that just a lot of sand is dropped in the middle. So what happens when we just drop a huge amount of sand in the middle and watch it topple, 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 rippling out. So let's do that. And so I'm going to just have the middle be with the sort of spot that's width divided by 2, height divided by 2. And I'm going to put, right now I'm just going to put four pieces of grains of sand there. So let's run this again. And whoops. Let's run this again. And we should see there it is. Now I have a white dot in the center there because there are 4 grains of sand. Pause for a sec. Let me save this color scheme. Oh, colors.co app. Oh, I see. OK. Yeah, add piles with clicks. That's a good idea. OK. All right. Yeah, I missed. Boy, I can't type. I have, by the way, I have another computer. I checked this computer out from downstairs. I borrowed it. Because it has all the keys on the keyboard work, but then I didn't want to be even later than I was. I have some problems with some keys on the keyboard here. Let me just do a save as. This will. Okay, great. Okay. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is figure out the topple algorithm. topple. What happens when the sand pile topples? Well, if it's greater than 4, pass out, pass 1 grain of sand, top, left, right, bottom, and then subtract 4. So the first thing I need to do is probably create so if this is my current sand pile, what I want to do is create kind of like the next pile. And the next pile is going to start with all zeros in it. And then if a cell doesn't have 4, like if a cell has less than 4, then it can have that same number in the next pile. And then, so I could go and copy over everything that's less than 4. And then after that, I could topple things. So I could probably do this in 1 pass, but I think doing it in 2 passes will work. That's the way I'm thinking about it right now. I don't know if you're following me, but you might follow me when I'm writing the code. So let's come back and do that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a function called topple. And I'm going to say int next piles is also just a blank array. And then I am going to do this same for loop to look at every single spot. I'm going to do this twice. I'm not sure if this is necessary, but it's the way that I'm thinking about it right now. I'm going to say, okay, int num equals, I need this again, how many are in that spot? And if num is less than 4, then next piles x, y is just equal to sand piles x, y. So this is me copying over every single pile of sand that doesn't need to be toppled. Then what I'll do afterwards is I'll do this exact same loop again, but if the number is greater than or equal to 4, greater than or equal to 4, then next piles will equal what it currently was minus 4. So subtract those 4. And then all of the neighbors, x plus 1, x plus 1, x minus 1, y plus 1, and y minus 1 will each increase by 1. So I need to additively, because there could be multiple piles with more than 4 on different sides, I need to be able to add everything together. So I think if I just take the current amount of sand, subtract 4, and then send each of those 4 grains of sand out to each of the 4 neighbors, this should be good. And then at the end, the sand piles is now next piles. So let's take a look at this. What do I see now? Oh, I have to call that function. So I want to render in draw, I want to render, then topple. And let's actually set the frame rate to 1, because maybe I can see it. Look at that. So look at that. I toppled that center cell, right? It was white the first frame, and then now it has, each one of those neighbors just has 1 pile of sand, 1 grain of sand, and that should be, if I look at the render function, 1 grain of sand is pink. Aha, okay, oh, I think we're done. We're actually kind of done. I had to deal with the edge cases and lots of other stuff, but let's actually, now we can just do something goofy. We can be like, I don't know, let's just add 400 things of sand. Oh, now I'm still at 1 frame per second. So looking at this, we can kind of watch what it's doing. The sand is toppling and each of the cells is coloring. Now, it probably would be good for me to have created a version of this that was kind of zoomed in so you can see. I'm zooming in using like a software zoom, so it's sort of blurring each one of these pixels. But I might as well just kind of go for it, take out this frame rate 1, and just watch it go. So now we can see this is what's happening now. All of that sand, ooh, and it finished. So it toppled and got done. So we need more sand. How much sand can I put in? How about that much? There we go. Let's get a better color scheme. So I was given a color scheme. Pause for a second. I'm being told it looks wrong. It's not symmetrical. Oh, welcome new sponsor, Jay Schoen. Thank you for the new sponsorship. If you would check if your neighbors are not than 3, you could use 1 pass. Hold on. I'm getting so many different color schemes. I don't know which one to pick, and I'm also concerned that maybe there is an error. I don't know. It looks symmetrical to me. This looks right. I think it's just we're seeing it play out in a kind of asymmetric way. Yeah, this is what I was trying to figure out. The order in which you iterate matters. If you have 3, 4, 3, both the first and the last 3 will update to 4, but the last 3 will update as well. Right, that's why I was thinking I needed to do 2 passes, because it should have 4-fold symmetry. Oh. The toppling is based on the current highest amount of sand instead of going over it like a scanner. Pixel of 5 grains are giving out 4. You're toppling at 3 grains and 2 grains as well, which isn't what you want. No. All right, so what have I done wrong? I'm thinking about this. You need 2 arrays, topple 1, copy to display, and render. Yeah, that I have 2 arrays. I like how this looks. I think it... So one thing that I want to check here is... let me just call topple like a lot of times. I think it's symmetrical, but just... Right, it's got the 4-fold symmetry. It finished. When it finished last time, it ended up with some white. It's not completely symmetrical. Yeah, but given infinite time, would it be? Are you checking the new array or the old one? All right, let's look at my topple algorithm again. Make it an uneven resolution. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The amount of sand is not perfectly divisible by 4. Interesting. Let's look at, let's let it finish. So that's it finishing. Try toppling from the highest point of sand, then reading out from there. So in other words, yeah, that shouldn't matter, I agree. So I have a feeling it's the order that I'm doing things in, but I don't see how that could matter because I am never touching and changing the values in the original. I'm just copying over. So I'm never checking the next pile. I don't see how this seems, to me this looks like it's completely order agnostic, right? There's no way that I am, it is because you're removing 4 and adding 1 in the same grid pass. I agree that that would be a problem, except it's not like I'm checking next piles. I'm still looking at, so I think it's okay to like funnel them out. Oh, wait a sec. If I remove 4, I could overwrite. I could overwrite another one. All right. Okay, I figured out the problem. I figured out the problem. I have to think about how to correct it. We gotta see this line of code right here could overwrite some sand grains that have already been added into next piles, right? There could be sand grains added into next piles that are suddenly going to get overwritten. So this should actually be plus equals, right, the amount of sand from before minus 4, right? I shouldn't be setting it. I should just be adding the amount of sand from before minus 4. I think that might not be the right fix. Is that the right fix? Oh yeah. Right? I think I figured it out, right? All right, I'm going to have to discuss. Let me go back. And you guys can tell me if that was right. Where am I here? Oh. Okay, I'm going to let this run for a little while. Num minus 4. Thank you, John Doe. I will do it that way. Okay, so I let this run for a little bit, and while I have to admit I picked some like kind of horrendous colors, and it is doing something kind of beautiful and interesting and weird, it's not correct. And the chat pointed out to me that this should have 4-fold symmetry. Right? There's no reason why, and it has this like nice symmetric quality to it, but it's not the right kind of symmetry. I'm gonna let it run a little longer so maybe you can see it. I'm also gonna cycle the camera while doing that. All right, so what is the problem? And it did take me a little bit of time to think about this. And so the problem is, I believe, is here. This is a very dangerous thing that I'm doing. The point of next piles is The point of next piles is that I always want next piles to accumulate the sand from previous. That's why I'm copying over things that are less than 4 and then adding up things that when they're toppled. And I also need to subtract the 4 from the thing that was toppled. But I'm not just subtracting the 4, I'm overwriting anything that was there before. So it could be that 2 cells with more than 4 are next to each other, and so one gets one from the other, but then then as soon as I get to the next cell, I don't take that into consideration more. So this should actually be adding, and this, by the way, just can be the current amount, which is num. So I need to add num minus 4. So whatever it was before, I want to put in that pile all of the sand except for the 4 that are going out to the neighbors. And I believe that if I run this, we should see it be much more symmetrical, and you can see that already. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do 2 more things, and there's so much you could do with this that I'm not going to do. I'm going to let you do it. I'm at least going to pick some different colors, and I'm going to speed up the animation to see, to be able to get to the end result a little bit more quickly. Yes, and the chat is telling me the parentheses do nothing. I just put them there for my own personal sanity. Okay, now let me find some colors. I got so many color suggestions. All right. Okay, Alka, in the Slack group, invitation by be a sponsor to get an invitation. Has some rainbow colors for me. Well, let me say that again. All right, Alka in the patron sponsor group in Slack has some rainbow color suggestions for me. So let's put those in. Where are they? Color, this first color is 25500. The next color is 25500. The next color is 18563. The next color is 104. 255, and the last color is 122, 229. I probably could use HSB color or have the colors change over time. There's so many things I could do, but I'm just gonna show you that the colors that you pick make a difference here. So here we go. There's our nice rainbow colors. Now, what I want to do is I want to see the end result a bit more quickly. Well, I mean, one thing that I could do is just sit here and wait, and I could, if you're watching the recorded version of this, I'll speed up the video to get to the end. But just for the sake of showing you how I could see it more quickly, is I am going to, all I need to do is call topple multiple times each time through draw. So I'm going to write an extra loop in here. Like if I just say call topple 10 times and run it, we can see here that you can see it looks as if it's going faster. It's not actually going faster, just animating faster. Well, it's doing 10 updates per frame of animation. Let's do 1,000. There we go. And I'm not so sure about these colors. And then let's, and of course we got an array out of bounds exception. So let's fix that. So we need to figure out, so we need to say like as long as x plus 1 is less than width, and as long as x minus 1 is greater than -1. I guess I could say greater than or equal to 0. And then this one I want to say if y plus 1 is less than height. And this one, and by the way, I'm not using any, I never do this, but and I probably should just put the curly brackets in there. But if you only ever have one line of code that comes after an if statement, the curly brackets can be assumed for just that one line. And then I'm going to say if y minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. So this will at least now fix the edge problem. Let's let it go as far as it can go. is crazy. Okay, first of all, the chat is telling me I got the wrong colors. Second is 255, 255, 0. Oh, yeah. So I had the wrong colors. Oh, there we go. That's nicer. Oh, much prettier. Shoot. Oh, the bit rate's going to be a disaster on these YouTube videos. But this is quite lovely. So the next thing I want to do is just finish this off by saying like 800 by 800 and run it. Oh, so slow. Probably some kind of magical shader thing could make it happen faster. Let's at least, I want it to animate a little faster. So let's topple it only 100 times per frame. And I'm going to just work on my email and some other stuff for a little bit. And then I'll be back when this gets a little further along. I'm just going to let this run. Mathieu will do his fun thing where this speeds up. Oh, sorry. Oh, whoops. So. Looking at my email. How's this going, everybody? How long have I been, I'll answer some questions here while we're waiting. How long have I been coding for? About an hour now? Much longer than playing the ukulele. I started coding, I did code as a child. But I would say I really started coding in 2001. Rainbow, sand piles, has it everything you dreamed of? Art asks, any new TensorFlow.js videos? Tomorrow I'll be making more TensorFlow.js videos. I will do a color classification tutorial. Shouldn't the canvas be 1 pixel bigger, or does it not matter? A pixel there, a pixel there, you know. I want to get this, let's see how far we can get this. I can't dynamically stop it, but I guess I could take a screenshot. I can tune this at least. Boy, this really takes a long time. All right, I think that's going to have to be good enough. All right, it's taking a really long time to render, so I think that's good enough for this coding challenge. There you go, Sandpile's in processing. I cannot wait to see what people make to this. You could start to do stuff where you drop the sand, you could pick your own color schemes, you could have the colors change over time, you could render something out to a giant poster and print it. I don't know, there's so many possibilities. If you watch the number file video, you'll probably get more ideas. Thank you for watching this coding challenge. And see you in a future one on something else. Goodbye. All right. Do you play the uke in non-virtual classes as well? No, I have never played. I do not play the ukulele in my regular classes. I don't know if it's special treatment. It's kind of the opposite of that, if you ask me. All right. Next up, we're going to do that Barnsley Fern thing, which, to be honest, I don't know how to do at all. How bad could it be? I think I need to do some like matrix transformations. Okay. I wonder how long that's going to end up being. Hopefully it's not more than a half an hour. Still going. Still going. Could you use the map? I know it's like I kind of want to like add things to it, but I just don't want to. I don't want to stop it. Oh wait, I've lost the Slack group. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done this on a per pixel basis, but that's just what I did. Play these chords on the ukulele: C, E7, A minor, A7, D minor. Oh, that's already good. That already went too far off in the chat for me to do that. Right, there's probably ways I could make this much faster, yeah. I like how this is looking though. All right, now let me look at the barn while this is running a little bit longer. It looks like this. I probably should have used the same colors. Oh, I should have. Now I feel sad that I didn't come here and like compare, but that's fine. But that's okay. Yeah, I'm planning to use the there's a machine learning model for the ukulele tuner. There's a machine learning model called CREP or CREP. Here it is. A neural network with perfect pitch. So I was going to use this CREP model to get the pitch of a sound. And actually, you could probably do this already without even me because it is an example. Again, this has not been sort of officially released yet, but if I go here under reference and under, oh, maybe it's not in here yet. So I think we don't have a reference page for CREP yet. Oh, pitch detection. There you go. Pitch detection. This is what I'm planning to use. So, spoiler alert. All right, but we'll come back to this. Oh boy, this is going to be released. I mean, it's released. It's there. You can use it, but we're still working on it, making some changes. Friday is the goal to have this out, and I need to go work on that library. So I got to go. I'm going to do Barnsley Fern first. All right. Okay, so first I want to go back to Simon's Barnsley Fern GitHub issue. Let's close this. Let's go to here. And this should be the result that we're going to get. Should look something like that. And all right. Oh, affine transformation. Whoa. This isn't so bad though, right? Isn't this just matrix math? So I start with a point. Okay. The first point is drawn at the origin 0, 0, and then new points are iteratively computed by randomly applying one of the following 4 coordinate transformations. Oh yeah, I don't even, yeah, great. And then I probably need to do some mapping of -1 to 1, right? I probably need to do some mapping to have the pixel window have 0, 0 in the center, -1 to 1, -1 to 1, and then just apply one of these 4 transformations, and then do the next point, right? All right, how hard is this going to be? Can it separate notes? I don't believe it can do, the CREP model I don't believe can do that. Oh. All right, so what's the, let's, affine transformation. X equals mx plus b, yeah. Okay. I'm just looking at this. Right, it's like the dot product thingy. Yeah, this multiplied by this multiplied by this, plus, all right. Yep, okay. Okay. Right, x equals 0.85 plus 0.04, and then y equals negative 0.04, 0.85 plus 1.6. There we go, okay. All right, this actually is not going to be very hard. Ah, famous last words. Ah. All right. How are we doing there? Look at this. Look at this beauty. Oh. Here you go, Mathieu. Let's make a nice thumbnail for you. Although I should have this be the... we're going to make a thumbnail for Mathieu. Sandpiles here. We're going to zoom in, put this lower, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. I want it to say Sandpiles there. Oh, I guess we don't need to say Sandpiles there. We'll just, let's get this kind of like, there we go. Oh, let's get this mouse out of the way. Okay, something will come up there. All right, I think I'm going to have to turn this off now. I want to let it keep running, but I'm going to have to turn it off. Okay. Oh, I just turned it off. Oh, it bothered me that I did that. Okay, now save. Save as a desktop. What are we calling this? Barnsley? Let's go to the Barnsley Fern. Oops. And named by British mathematician Michael Barnsley. Okay. Barnsley Fern. And then, okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to try later today, if anyone wants to do it for me, I'm going to try later today to render like a super high res, because you could use create graphics and just render to a pixel buffer, super high res. Or you could actually, you could do it if we use the rectangle function to actually draw them as rectangles and use the PDF renderer. That might be an interesting thing to try too. So if anybody wants to make me some like super high res Sandpiles with that code that I could use for sharing on social media and publishing with the video, that might be helpful. All right, I could use TensorFlow. I'm not using TensorFlow.js for this. Because first of all, I'm doing this in processing. All right. Hello to another coding challenge. In this coding challenge, I am going to attempt to make the Barnsley Fern. Isn't that a beautiful plant? Maybe we can make a rainbow Barnsley Fern. I don't know. So first of all, why is it called Barnsley Fern? Named for the British mathematician Michael Barnsley, who first described this in his book Fractals Everywhere. So I encourage you to check out the Wikipedia page, which can give you more background about where this algorithm comes from. Thanks once again to Coding Train viewer Simon Tiger, who suggested this one. And let's try to implement it. So here's the thing. Let me actually just describe to you briefly what's going to happen. So in order to do this one, I actually have not coded this before, so we'll see if what my way of thinking about it is right, is if we look at the Wikipedia page, let's actually go back to look at the Wikipedia page. It's going to tell us a little bit. It's going to say, somewhere here, the first point is drawn at the origin x equals 0, y equals 0. So basically, the way that this works is I'm going to draw a point at 0, 0. So I'm going to consider 0, 0 to be in the middle. So I'm going to have to do some type of transformation mapping of the pixel canvas, which usually has 0, 0 in the top left. Maybe it's 600 by 600, and have 0, 0 be in the center. And what it says here is it's basically I need to pick one of these 4 affine transformations. Now this, when you look at this, you think to yourself, oi, I'm going to go do something else. Well, it's like matrices and curly brackets and f of x. But this is actually really much simpler than you think. And this is known as a transformation, or an affine transformation here, where what I want to do is I want to say, if x0 is at 0, and y0 is at 0, what I need to do is I want to say x1 is some function of x0, y0, and maybe some constant. ax0 plus b times y0 plus c. Basically, and then and then y1 is some other number, but like a y0. Time out. Let me go back and say this again. So is it going to be confusing if I use the same, it's different A, B's, and C's. So I'm going to do D, E, and F. Yeah, okay. And then y1 is maybe d times x0 plus e times y0 plus f. And then I'm going to do the same thing. x2, y2 is some numbers plus x1 plus y plus some number plus y1 plus some other constant. So what are the values of a, b, c, d, e, and f? Well, those are the values that are here. So x1 is actually 0 times x plus 0 times y. This one does nothing. It just turns it into 0. But you can see here, this would be a better one. So we can write this out. x2. I'm going to start this whole video over. Because I don't want to get too, I'm going to start this whole thing over. It's not element-wise, it's the dot product. It's definitely the dot product. Yes. Did I get it wrong? Right, isn't it, right, xn plus 1 is 0.85 times x plus 0.04 times y plus 0. Yeah, I have it right. Okay, oh, I'm in the wrong screen, sorry. Let's start over. I want to, let's start this whole thing over. I replaced confusing notation with more confusing notation. I think if I actually, I'm just going to use that actual example, and I'm going to, and we'll check it. Okay. All right. Starting over again. Cycling cameras. All right. Hello, and welcome to another coding challenge. Oh, I'm excited about this one. In this coding challenge, I'm going to attempt to make this fern, the Barnsley Fern, named for the British mathematician Michael Barnsley. I encourage you to read this Wikipedia page, which will give you more background on it. What I'm going to do is just look at the algorithm and try to write that algorithm into code and see if we can get that result. And then you, the creative viewer of this coding challenge, will make your own version with different colors, and you'll think about animating it and do all sorts of things that I couldn't possibly even imagine. So first of all, what is the algorithm here? So if we look down here, I'm just going to skip down here. It says the first point is drawn at the origin, x equals 0, y equals 0. So what this means is we need some sort of two-dimensional space. It could be a processing canvas, and I want to start at 0, 0. Now I'm going to think of 0, 0 in the center here, and I'm going to have to probably figure out some ways of well, the pixels are here, but then 0, 0 and the pixel space is here, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And then what's the next step? The next step is, and then the new points are iteratively computed by randomly applying one of the 4 following coordinate transformations. And here they are defined. Now this is the kind of stuff that you might see and think, ah! Okay, I'm going to go do something else. This looks like matrix math and linear algebra. But this is actually, first of all, if you watch some of my matrix videos, this is going to, strangely enough, make sense to you. But let me actually show you that this math is actually quite simple. Let's use just this second one, and let's rewrite this over on the board. Yeah. So f of 2, x comma y equals, sorry, I'm going to have to go back and check it. 0.85, 0.04, 0.85, 0.04, negative 0.04, negative 0.04. I should have made up my own numbers. 0.85, 0.85. Then we have x, y. Oh no, I'm running out of space. I'm running out of space. Plus, I can fit this in. I can fit this in. You can see that. 0 and 1.6. What does this mean? Well, this is actually the matrix product, or the dot matrix multiplication, or the dot product. What it means is I want to find the values. If this is x1, y1, what I want to get is the next values for x. So I have one point, and I want to know, where does that point go? What's x2, y2? So this being x2 equals this number times that, 0.85, times x1, plus this number times that. The row gets multiplied by the column, 0.04 times y1, and then plus this number, plus 0. And then y2 then equals negative 0.04 times x1 plus 0.85, and my handwriting's terrible, times y1, this column times this column, plus 1.6. So it's really just this formula. If I have an xy coordinate, I get the next xy coordinate with this math. And we can just double check that this is right. Look at that for a second with my horrible, messy handwriting. And then let's go down here and see, look at this. It's the same thing. X, the next x is this number times the previous x plus this number times the previous y. And the next y is this number times the previous x plus this number times the previous y plus 1.6. So we just need to do one of these 4. And each one of those 4 we do according to a particular probability, right? All right, A, B, C, D, E, F. I could have written it this way. That's the generic way of writing it. Okay, so all right, so let's go back into, let's start writing some code. All right, so I have a processing sketch, a Java-based programming environment with a nice API for drawing stuff and lots more, processing.org. I am going to say background equals 0. I'm going to have an x and a y. I'm going to set those to be 0 to start. I'm going to draw, I'm going to say stroke 255, stroke weight, stroke weight 8, and then I'm going to draw a point at x comma y. Okay? And then what I need to do is get the next value. So next x equals some number a times x plus b times y plus c. And actually, so let's just use these numbers here. Let's just copy these. 0.85, 0.04, 0.85, negative 0.04, negative 0.04, 0.85, and next y is negative 0.04, 0.85, plus, oh, this is very tedious, 1.6. Okay, did I get that right? This is a positive y. All right. Okay, I must line all these things up. No, what's going on? Okay, everything's fine now. Breathe, everybody, breathe with me. Okay, so this is applying that particular transformation. And then I could just say x equals next x, y equals next y. So what if I were to do this and run this? I don't get any errors, but I do see this like circle over here being drawn. So here's the thing. I'm only applying one of those transformations. I need to pick one of 4. And I also am not thinking sort of thoughtfully about the pixel space. So I need to do a mapping, right? X with pixels goes from 0 to 600, 0 to 600. But maybe I want to think of this as a space between -1 and 1 and -1 and 1. So what I want to do is say, when I actually go to draw it, pixel x equals map x, which goes between -1 and 1 to 0 and width, and pixel y between -1 and 1. And I'm going to flip the axis, height comma 0, and then I'm going to draw the point at px, py. Let's run this. And then, okay, and then I only want to draw the background once. And we can see, there we go. So if I apply that transformation over and over again, we can see the point going up that way. Now, is that right? That doesn't look right to me. I guess it's right. I know I need to pick for 1 and 4. Okay. I guess that's right because I'm just picking 1. Is it really just going to go up diagonally like that, this transformation? I guess so. Okay. Second map should be y. Oh, what was this? Okay, yes, sorry everybody. All right, that looked weird to me. This has to be y. Yes, this needs to be y. I was like mapping the x value. I was like, why is it, all right. So, all right, it's not moving very much, but that's fine. I'm just applying this one transformation. So here's the thing. Oh, is this an offset? Timeout. Is this an offset? No, it's actually the new point. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's correcting me in the chat. Okay. I'm looking at the chat still. All right, let's look at the values. just to sort of see what those values are doing. And we can see, there we go. Now it kind of settled. Interestingly enough, it settled to a fixed point. But here's the thing. We need to do one of 4 transformations. So I need to do the tedious thing now. Now I could probably encode these into arrays and like automatically, but I'm going to do this in a very long-winded way just to see the code. I'm going to have 4 of these possibilities. So this is actually number 2. I need to have 1. I need to have 3. And I need to have 4. And I probably should put these in a function, but there's just so many ways I could organize the code to be better. But I'm going to just do it this way right now. And maybe I'll refactor it later, or I'll let you do that. So let's go back and look at the algorithm. This is just 0 and 0.16 times y. So this one is actually just 0. And this is actually just 0.16 times y. That's option number 1. Option number 2 we did. Option number 3. Option number 3 is 0.2, negative 0.26. 0.2, negative 0.26. And then 0.23, 0.22, 1.6. 0.23, 0.22, 2.6, was that what it was? 1.6. And then option number 4 is negative 0.15, 0.28. You're really watching me do this. Negative 1.5 and 2.8. That's not right. Yeah, it is right. And then 2.6, 2.4, 4.4. 2.6, 2.4, 4.4. Let's auto-format all this. Okay, now, this is the really important part. I need everything to line up. It's not lining up the way I want it to. Help me line up. No, this plus has to go here. This has to go there. That's okay now. This is okay. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, it's fine now. Everything's okay, everybody. Oh, wait, no. I need a 0 here. I definitely need a 0 there. Okay. What's wrong? Oh, no, these have to go over because there was no negative there. Oh, and this has, yeah, I don't like this. This has to go over too. Yes. Okay, this has to go over. There we go. Okay, that's much better now. Now, the other thing is, I'm just going to say float next x, float next y. And then I'm going to, because I just want to declare the variables once. And I'm going to get rid of all of these. Yes, you're watching me do this in the most tedious, ridiculous way possible, but it's good. This is good for you because you're in your frustration and like, you're gonna improve your coding skills by doing it in a different way, by watching me and my poor way of doing this. Okay, so this is good. Now I'm going to pick a random number. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to just do this. If r is less, I'm going to do a 1 out of 4 chance for each of these. If r is less than 0.25, do this. Otherwise, if r is less than 0.5, do this one. Otherwise, if r is less than 0.75, do this one. And then otherwise, do the last one. So now I'm just doing a 1 out of 4 chance of doing any of these. I'm pausing for a second because I'm seeing lots of shouting in the chat. All right, no one is. Okay. So let's run this and see what happens. We're not going to get the fern, but we should get, look at this. I'm getting something. It's just, look at this. Oh, it might even be like tree-like. So one thing I want to do is I want to pick I want to take this, which is like sort of like next point, and I'm going to put that into its own function, next point. So that I can, because I'm probably going to want to also do this, and then I'm going to take this and draw point. And then, because I might want to do these multiple times in draw, so I think and I could probably do this in an object-oriented way. I should probably store an array of all the points, but let's just look at this. So now, let me let this go a little faster. So let me say do 100 of these transformations per frame. And we can see, and by the way, 0, 0 should be at the bottom. I'm now sort of figuring out. So I'm going to put 0, 0 at the bottom. So I'm going to map this from 2 down to 0, right? Oh, whoa, I did that. No, 0 to 2, I mean. 0 to 2. There we go. So here's my weird tree thing that I'm making without being thoughtful about those probabilities. Now, let's go look at those. I still think there might be a mistake here, but I haven't implemented the probabilities, so let's see what happens if I implement the probabilities. Okay, so let's look at the Wikipedia page. It says them somewhere. Where are those probabilities? Are these them? Matthew, is P the probabilities? A through F are the coefficients. Oh, P represents the probability factor. Oh, I'm such a silly goose. Let's go look at the Wikipedia page for those probabilities. And you can see they're actually right here in this table. So this table is actually defining all of those coefficients and here under P probability. So we have a 1% chance of the first one, 85% chance of the second, 7% chance of the third, and 7% chance of the fourth. So I'm actually going to put this, I'm going to amazingly do this in an array. Well, actually, okay. So there is, let's think about this. Back here. There's 1% chance of this first one. So I know that should be this. Now, I want to have a 85% chance of this second one. So now I actually need to look and see, is it less than 0.86? Because if it's less than 0.01, that's a 1% chance. And between 0.01 and 0.86 is 85%. Then I need to do less than 0.93, right? Because there's a 7% chance of this third one, and in all other cases, the fourth one. So let's look at this now. And are we going to get a Barnsley Fern? Okay, map range is limited to. Yeah, so I need to, all right. So this is looking, okay. This is looking pretty good. Now, everything's like way off the screen, right? Because I was like, oh, well, I'll just make it between -1 and 1. But you might have noticed, and everyone in the chat is telling me, plus 1.6. So clearly, the point can go further than that. So let's give ourselves some more space. So where are the mappings? The mappings are here. Let's go from 0 to 4, and let's try -2 to 2. And let's make the stroke weight a little bit less. Let's give ourselves much more space. Ah, look at that. Ah, beauteousness. The Barnsley Fern, that looks about right. Okay, so I'm done, even though I want to do so much more. But I'm not going to. I'm going to let you do more. Because how could you animate this? How could you pick color? How could you consider the space? How could you connect the points? How could you render this in a different way? There's so many possibilities. But I'm going to leave this at this. I've just done the core algorithm, and we have this Barnsley Fern. And you can, by the way, you can see here there's variations of this. Why is mine kind of different than this, though? Hold on a second. Mine looks different. Let's check our numbers. Oh, okay. So first of all, I'm discovering here, this is actually giving me the correct range. So let's actually do this range. Let's go into the code and implement the range that was on the Wikipedia page. So negative to there, and then 0 to, let's try this. See what happens. What did I get wrong here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So I was not mapping the proper range, so it didn't curve to the right. But now I am mapping the full Barnsley Fern. Thank you very much. I really want to make it rainbow colored and do other stuff, but we have completed it. This is the Barnsley Fern fractal in processing in about 3 hours and 42 minutes. Thanks for watching this entire video. And I hope you make a variation of this in some way that I couldn't possibly imagine and share it with me. Share it in the comments. There's a way you can go to thecodingtrain.com and submit a link to your contribution, and on Twitter at Schiffman or at thecodingtrain. Okay? Thanks, and I will see you all in the next coding challenge. Okay. So I think I'm done for today mostly, in that I did these 2 coding challenges. I'm very pleased with them. Do a Sierpinski triangle. Haven't I done that before? But what I want to, oh, I forgot that I'm still live streaming. I kind of was like, oh, I'm done. I'm like talking to myself. We probably need a Barnsley Fern song. Apparently, but all my songs just use the same chords. Fern. Actually, let's watch it more slowly. Let's watch it more slowly for fun. Barnsley Fern is beautiful. It looks like a tree. It's made with processing and some code. It's by me. Well, not by me, because I didn't invent the algorithm or really be the first person to write this code, and lots of other people have done it. I'm just doing it my own way. That's kind of in a poor way without easily change, because I should probably use some arrays and refactor the code and maybe think about doing it object-oriented, and my code's really terrible, but it works, and it's pretty, and it makes me happy. I have done, Consti Papa asked in the chat, I have done strange attractors. It looks great with lower stroke weight, yeah. You know, it's just, the thing is, like, I don't want to, I really think it would be interesting to, like, you know, if I could use some alpha and give it like a higher stroke weight, like what would happen. And I want to put this back. And I could, like, you know, I think there's lots of interesting possibilities here. You know, I could pick from a color palette. So I encourage you to make your own Barnsley Fern with your own stuff. All right. All right. Mapping y coordinate to hue would look pretty. That's a great idea. So the color. And what if I did map y to between 0 and 55, something like this. Right. Oh, there we go. There's our rainbow. I don't know why I... I don't know why I didn't do this as part of the video. Here. We can make this a screenshot. Here's a thumbnail for you, Mathieu. Hold on, let's go back to stroke weight 2. And let's give it a little alpha. And let's do it 500 times per frame. And I believe the background color is incorrect. It's supposed to be 51. How many of you have been watching my channel long enough that that means something to you? There we go. Okay. All right. Now, all right, so what I want to do is talk about, I was going to try to build this. So here's what I'm thinking for classification. I'm going to do a machine learning tutorial about classification with TensorFlow.js, and I want to do this tomorrow. So what I was thinking of building was, and let me switch to make a P5 sketch real quick. All right, so let's actually make this, maybe this will become a video. Give me a moment here. Right. Oops. I'm going to be here for a little bit longer. I'm going to work on this thing that I want to try. I'm just trying to decide if I should, I think I'm just going to use a Google Sheet. It's just going to be so hackable. If I use Firebase, that's not going to be, everything's going to be hackable in the way that I do this. Well, I'll just clean the data. Hopefully the trolls will not get me. P5G -B crowd source color. Great. And don't need the libraries directory. Okay. What would make it hackable? I think if I write all the data to oh, the Google Sheet just needs to be public. I just think if I don't know how to, so this is what I'm planning to do. Let me stick this through. What I'm planning to do is make a really simple web page that just shows you a random color and then has a drop down and asks you to categorize that color. And hit submit, and it'll write the RGB values and your category, your label, to a spreadsheet. So if I do this with Google Sheets, the easiest way to do this is to just make the Google Sheet public, and then just write to it from the web page. But then if the Google Sheet is public and my code is out there public, anybody could just like write their own script to like delete everything on the page or to add like a bunch of labels that are bad words, for example. So I could write it to Firebase, and I have to put some database protections, but then I need a server to like hide the keys. So I think I'm going to rely on the goodwill of the internet, because what could possibly go wrong, to try my best. Firebase can be write new only. Huh. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a kind of like hack a version with no security as part of the tutorial, and then I'm going to put, I'm going to make a version with some security after the fact. You, the coding trained viewers, will help me, and I will use that as the thing where I ask people to submit stuff. Make it fill in a Google form. Yeah, I was just going to use a Google form for this. The reason why I didn't feel like I could I use a Google form where it generates, so let's investigate this for a second. So this is what I want to do. So I don't know who I'm logged in as. Let me, shoot. What kind of Google accounts do I have here? I don't want to log in as myself. Oh, let me, how do I, no, go back. How do I remove these? Isn't there like usually a button for remove? Because I want to, poor John Henry Thompson is still on here. Now I keep showing his email. Coding Rainbow Live. All right, fine. I just don't, I have to, you don't need to host the Firebase keys. Oh, you mean I could make, I could make people. Yeah, didn't really feel like using Firebase. Hold on. Coding Rainbow Live is a perfectly fine Google account for me to use. I just need to figure out what my password is. I got to look in one password. I have so many Google accounts. Oh my goodness. Crazy password time. I'm looking at my password manager on my other computer. Here's what I'm doing, if you're wondering. Okay. So new Google form. Whoops. New Google form. Color labeler. Creating a data set for machine learning classification example. And label this color. Oh, I could embed the form on a page, but how could I get the? So then I just need a multiple choice, and I'm going to do something like blue-ish, red-ish, green-ish, orange-ish, purple-ish, yellow-ish. What's missing from this? Good enough, right? Or gray-ish. Okay. So this is the idea. So now if I were to look at this form, this is what I want. The issue is what I want is to show a randomly generated color here, and then have that color also be part of the spreadsheet with this form. So what would be the easiest way to do that? I mean, I was just going to build my own interface and write to a Google spreadsheet directly, but I'd love to just use a Google form, rainbow-ish. So I will wait and see if anybody has any suggestions for me. Yeah, I was going to do labeling them by sentiment, but I think what I wanted to do, I wanted to do that, but I think that's more of an exercise for the viewer. Eric is writing to me in the Slack group. I like the idea of labeling. I had this idea of instead of having them, but I just kind of want to show a sort of very trivial thing that works. Brownish, I'm missing. Okay. I meant make the custom web page, fill out the Google form. Yeah. Or emotion, right? I was going to do. I was thinking that my example would ask people to then make their own version of this with different, more creative labels. All right, I'm gonna go my way. I'm gonna write to a Google form using tabletop.js, and I am going to. So let me create a new sheet. Got it. Color data are red, green, blue, label. Okay. So I'm going to write to this spreadsheet. Okay. All right. Okay, so. Okay. I don't know if this really is going to make sense as a video tutorial, but I am going to include it anyway. Usually what I use for API access to Google Spreadsheets is Tabletop.js, because it's pretty easy to use. And I can write to it pretty easily. I've done this before. And I just, is this currently being maintained? Yeah, April 4th, that's not too long ago. And yeah, okay. All right. All right, welcome to a new session of intelligence and learning tutorial compilation thing. So this session is going to be a series of videos, and I'm going to build a classifier. So what do I mean by build a classifier? Hold on, everybody. Erase this. Okay. Now, I've done this before. I have some video tutorials where I did a doodle classifier, and this is somewhat similar. And I'm also going to redo the doodle classifier with a convolutional neural network. That's coming. But here, what I want to start with is a very baseline of just doing classification. And so, sorry. This pen failed me. Don't fail me now, pen. Classification. Now, in order for me to do a classification example, the full story from training, testing, to deployment of a machine learning model to classify some data, I need to first think about data. Now, what I'm going to do in this series is use a trivial data set. A data set that really doesn't have much of a point of view, that's not particularly meaningful. I just want to show you the full story of how all the pieces work together. When I kind of get to the end of this series, I'll talk to you a bit more of where you might find your own data sets, how you might collect your own data, and sort of think about where you might take this. But I can't emphasize enough that the data that you're using and the data that you're not using is the primary, most fundamental piece of all of this. If you just want to try out the algorithm, what I'm doing is just fine. But if you actually want to build something that classifies something in the real world, there are a lot of questions you should ask yourself, starting from the very first one is, should you be doing this in the first place? Like, is what you're doing good, or is it causing harm? Who's being left out of the data? There's lots of really important, critical questions you want to think about. So putting that aside, we'll come back to it at the end. The data set that I'm going to use, I'm just going to make a color data set. So, and I'm going to crowdsource this from you, the viewer. By the time you're watching this, I might have already finished all the crowdsourcing, but there'll be links in this video's description to where you can find the various elements. So I'm going to create essentially a spreadsheet. It's going to have 4 columns, red, green, blue, and then label. So each record, each data point is going to have 3 values, like 25500, and its label is going to be something like, red-ish. Then I might have 02550, and its label would be green-ish. So again, this is what I mean by totally trivial. I am labeling colors into a certain number of buckets: reddish, greenish, yellowish, bluish, purplish, orangish, grayish, brownish, something like that. And I'm going to have this massive data set. It won't be that big, but a big data set. And it's going to learn from this labeled data how to take a new color, right? There are millions of possible colors, 256 to the 3rd power, and automatically label it according to what human beings generally think of those colors in those certain categories. So this is what I'm going to build. So this first part of the video series is just about me figuring out how to collect this data. And so the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to make a P5 sketch that shows a random color and gives you a little drop-down menu or a multiple choice thing to pick which category and hit submit, and it gets saved in a Google Sheet. And that Google Sheet will be this spreadsheet that then I will then use later to load and feed into TensorFlow.js to train a model to learn to classify RGB colors according to some set of labels. And from there, you might start to think about more creatively, well, what if you actually crowdsourced labels for, what am I trying to say here? And I'll come back to the data stuff. I'll come back to that. This chat died. Everything's okay? Everything's still going? There's some code here in the chat. All right. Now I want to mention that this idea comes from some work that Hannah Davis is doing here researching at ITP around data and crowdsourcing data. She is actually making a data set around landscapes and tagging those landscapes with sort of what you might expect: field, ocean, whatever tags you might expect in a land, but also thinking about, could you have emotional landscapes? Could you have a data set of landscapes? These are landscapes that sort of embody the concept of fear or happiness or joy. So that might be something you start to think about. What kind of creative labels could you apply, fixed set of labels, to colors? There's interesting possibilities there. So you might make your own creative version of this. But I'm going to start with something very trivial and exactly as sort of written out here. OK. So let's go back, and got a P5 sketch here that I started with nothing in it. And I want to add, so the first thing I want to do is just pick a random color. It's going to be like the simplest thing ever. So I'm going to, and by the way, I could use a Google form. I could use a service that I can pay people to label data, like Mechanical Turk or Crowdflower. Maybe I'll try to look at some of those in another video. But right here, I'm going to sort of custom build my own thing. And so I am, what do I need to do? I'm gonna pick a random red value between 0 and 255. Then I am going to, and I want to floor it, because I kind of don't want to deal with floating point numbers. There's not really a reason for me to do that. And then I want to show it. So I'm going to say background RGB. And then I am going to, what do I want to do now? I'm going to say drop down equals create select. And then I can add options to the drop down like this. Let's just see if this works. Whoops. Blue-ish, red-ish, green-ish. OK, so let's just see what this looks like. So now if I go to the browser and look at this sketch, and we can see here, I've got my drop down, and every time I refresh the page, I see a new color. And then I can add also submit equals create button, submit, and submit dot mouse pressed, submit, send data, and then I can write a function called send data where I am going to send this data to something. Okay, so this is the basic idea. We don't need this to be so big. There we go. So this is what I want. Each time I refresh this page, I'm going to pick a label, and I'm going to hit submit, and it'll hopefully put that data somewhere. Where is it going to go? I want it to go to this spreadsheet. So I want to see the RGB and values and the label end up in this spreadsheet. Then I'm going to turn it over to you all, and I'm going to get lots of data that I can then use for training the model. Okay. Timeout. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so where have I done this before? I think I've done this in the Mad Libs example. Yeah. Oh, this isn't writing to it, though. This is just reading from it. Callback, got data. Where is that? Oh, yeah. Right. So that's reading from it. Super simple. Did I do one where I write to the spreadsheet? Is that in A to Z? Whoops. Load CSV. Google Sheets. Yeah. Got data. I don't think I wrote to it in any of my examples. Right. I just had a form. So my examples, I didn't write to it. So let me look at tabletop.js. Is there a feature for writing to it? Getting started, share, advanced, anyone with a link. I don't know if you can write to it with tabletop.js. I could certainly use yeah, radio buttons would be much less annoying. Or just 3 submit buttons. Yeah. I definitely want to change the interface. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do this. Tabletop.js write to Google Sheet. Why I love tabletop but don't use it in production. Oh. What's this? Sheet C. Is this open source free? Oh, glitch. I should make this a glitch app. Let's look. Sheet, c.js, GitHub. BSD. It's open source. Let's look at this on Glitch. This is amazing. Yeah. I should probably just use Firebase. I don't know why I was avoiding using Firebase. Get, I don't think this is writing to the file anywhere. Oh, it's just using tabletop behind the scenes. Yeah. Yeah, none of these are writing to the spreadsheet, which I know I can do with, I don't know why I can't remember what this is called, but turn spreadsheet into, there's a service, but it's not free. Shitsu. This I've used before. It's quite good, but it's not free. I don't believe it's, so I don't think that I want to use it for this. Yeah, your coding challenge 45. Yeah, in fact, I have even simpler ones. Let's use Firebase. I think it's going to make more sense to use Firebase. I have a whole set of Firebase tutorials. So Firebase. Where's the Firebase tutorials examples? Firebase. How come I'm not seeing it? Which week has the Firebase stuff? Yeah, week 9 Firebase. Ah, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I need. Okay, perfect. Great, okay. Yeah, Google Sheets has its own API. I just can't bring myself to use it. All right. Okay. So let me set this up on Firebase using this Coding Train Live account. Great. Get started. Add project. Okay. Okay. All right. So how do I do the radio buttons in P5? Anybody remember? Create radio. Yep, create radio, perfect. Okay. So let me come back to here. All right. Okay. All right. I really got to go, but let's try to see if I can push this a little bit further, because I would like to finish this to get some data before tomorrow. All right, Matthew, I don't know where I was, so this is going to be hard to edit, but we'll do your best. I think you can get rid of the part where I looked at the spreadsheet. So maybe where I'm coming from over here. Okay. I don't remember where I was. All right. Okay, so I need to put this data somewhere. I'm actually going to do that in the next part and do that in a separate part. I am going to use a service called Firebase, which I have a whole set of tutorials about. So if you want to learn a lot more about Firebase, I'll link to those tutorials in this video's description. But I'm just going to kind of jump right in and quickly make a Firebase project and send all my data there from this P5 sketch. So, but before I go, a great point was made in the chat that this is a particularly, oops, where am I? This is a particularly awkward interface, especially if I only get to do one. I probably should make this that I could do 5 colors all at once. But let's say I only get to do one. It's going to be really annoying to have to use this drop down. So one thing I could do is do create radio. And then I'll just rename this. And in P5, this is a P5 DOM creation function that I believe should change this to this. And again, the layout here is a little bit awkward. I will think about fixing that up. But now we can see here the idea here. I'm going to pick blue and hit submit. I'm going to pick reddish, bluish, and hit submit. OK, so I just need to take this function send data and send the data to Firebase. And that's what I'm going to do in the next video, okay? So in the next video, I'm going to send the data to Firebase. I'm going to then upload this somewhere and let those of you who are watching this live give me some data, okay? See you soon. All right. Okay. Let me add orange, purple, yellow, pink, brown, gray. Worst interface ever. What can I do really briefly to make this better? Radio, buttons, style. What is it actually making the... what did it actually generate for me? Input type radio, label, input. Oh, it's just putting these one after another. Float left. Multiple buttons. So just do a different button for each. Oh, just do a different button for each one. I like that. Multiple buttons. Great idea. All right. Yeah, display block. All right. We'll just see if that's a quick fix. Yes, I know the camera went off. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to make everything a button. It doesn't need to be in the Um, Let's do it this way. Red, green, blue, orange, yellow, pink, purple, gray or brown, gray. And let's just do whoops. There we go. Okay. Yes, this is totally bonkers. I'll fix it up. The point of this is not to worry about the DOM stuff. So this will be better. Let me close a bunch of these windows that don't need to be open. Just dismiss this right now. Okay. Close this. Okay. This is my reference. And okay. Okay. Can you change the background color of each button to be the same as the text? Oh, that would be so good, wouldn't it? Okay, I'm not going to do that right now. That's a great idea. And CSS layout, it's just not part of what I'm doing right now. Okay. Okay, I'm back. By the way, in between the last video and this one, a suggestion came in the chat to say like, oh, it'd be easier if you just had a bunch of buttons. So like I could just click whichever button I think the color is. So yeah, if this is like, it's greenish to me, I'm going to refresh. Oh, that's also greenish. That's purplish. That's bluish, right? So I just click the button and it submits. And actually, probably when I do that, I can have it then pick a new color. So what I need to do is now send the color to Firebase. All right, so I'm now logged into some arbitrary Google account called Coding Rainbow Live, and I'm going to add a project, and I'm going to call this color classification. And I'm going to accept all sorts and agree to all sorts of things. I'm going to hit create project. I'm going to wait for it to do its thing. It's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading, 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 loading. Oh, it's so out of tune. Oh, did it finish? Okay. Continue. The new project is ready. All right. Really? Get started? Yes, add Firebase to your web app. Perfect. Okay, so what I need is this stuff. So let me grab this and go to index.html. And by the way, there are so many things that could be done to improve the interface here, and I should probably work on an HTML and add CSS and all that stuff. That's not the focus of this video. So I apparently, don't at me is what I'm supposed to say, apparently. But you should at me, though. I'm okay with being atted. At will. Just be nice. Be nice. All right, so I'm going to add this stuff. So I'm going to add this script tag for Firebase. And I'm actually just going to take this, and I'm going to put this in with my P5 code. I'm just going to actually just do this at the beginning of setup. OK. So now I'm connected to Firebase. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Hit refresh. It's not telling me anything, but should be good. Yeah, something's happening here. OK, great. Now, I need to, by the way, I need this send data to go with all these buttons. So I should be able to say buttons.length. And then I should just be able to say buttons.mousepressed, buttons index I dot mousepressed send data. So this is me assigning this send data event to every single one of those buttons. And guess what? Right here, I'm going to just say console log this.html. So by the way, so when you use the p5 mousepressed function and give it an event, that event is bound to the DOM element upon which it was called and referenced in the keyword this. So, and then HTML is the text of the button. So this should, if I do this, we can see whatever button I click, I get the label in the console. That's good. So now I need to send the data to Firebase. Is it going to tell me how to do that here? OK, so I could start to look at the Firebase documentation, but I'm going to, I could go back and watch my Firebase tutorials because I've completely forgotten how to use it. But I do have one of my examples. And this example here has some code in it which send to Firebase. So, and it's actually quite easy for me to do this. I just need to create a reference database. I'm going to call it like colors or something. I need to put some data in it. So let me grab all this code here. And I'm going to grab this code and I'm going to put it, I'll link to that particular example as well. I'm going to just put it in here. I'm going to use let, and my example that I made before in the Firebase tutorial is about fruits, but I'm going to do a color, I'm going to say color label. The database is color database, and I'm going to call it colors. The data that I want to send has an R, and that is, and I need these then to be global variables if I want to be able to access them. So, so I'm going to make these global variables and give them an initial value. I'm actually going to put this, though, in a function called pickColor. I think that'll make everything nicer. I'm going to say function pickColor. And then I'm going to create an object with, I could use that. What's that thing called in ES6 now where I could just make the object if I want the R value to be R, the G value to be G. There's a way to do that. The B value to be B. And then I want the label to be this.html. So this is the object. This is what I want to send to Firebase. The red, green, and blue value and the label. So then I'm just going to say let the particular color be the color database push. Push that data, and when it's finished, it's going to give me this like key, which is interesting to see because everything has this unique, every record in a database has a unique ID. So I could look at that just to see if it's right. And I can have this callback finished. Something went wrong. I could use console.error or data saved successfully. And let's see. So let's do console.log saving data, and then also log the data, and let's see what happens. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to here, and that to me is pinkish. I'm going to press pinkish. Database is not defined. Okay, line 49. Oh, Firebase initialized. So what did I not do that I did in this particular example? When I initialized it, I have to create a database object. So I have to create a database object from after I initialize Firebase. So let's go and do that. That's a step that I missed. And that's going to be a global variable called database. Now I'm going to run this again. That looks very greenish to me. And saving this data, 522665 with this label, it generated a key, but permission denied. So now what I need to do is do something to allow myself to write to the database. And I'm going to do something not so great. But I'm going to do it anyway. I forget where this is. Pause for a second. This can be edit point. I'm pretty sure in my, let's real-time database rules. Okay. It returns a promise. I'm not using promises for this. Oh, thanks. What's that entry write not if data exists? So you can't overwrite somebody's thing? Is that what that does? Okay. So I need to change the permissions that are in my Firebase project. So how come I've lost where that is? It's probably under here, project settings, color classification. Where is it? Users and permissions. No. Hold on. The interface has changed. I have to figure out where it is. Anybody know where it is now? Oh, maybe I go to here? I'm in color classification. Ooh, machine ML kit, hosting, storage. Develop database rules. I guess I have to do get started. Ah, okay. Hello? Here we go. So now I have to be thoughtful and think about like the privacy and security of the data, which is a really important point. But again, in this sort of like thing that I'm just working on to try to just get to the finish line here, and with a trivial data set, I'm going to at least just sort of open up and make the database easily writable without a lot of security rules. So let's see. So I need to go to Firebase, and I need to go here to database. And actually, I don't even have a real-time database available yet, so I need to do get started. And then look at this. So make your database private by denying all reads and writes, which is something that that in many cases you're going to want to do. Start in test mode. Anyone with your database reference will be able to read and write to your database. I'm going to hit enable. I am going to add one more thing to the rules. So, and thank you to me from the chat. I can add in a rule for color data. I'm going to add another rule, and let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. What I want to do is I don't want to let somebody overwrite somebody else's entry that they already put in. And so if I say $entry, and then I set the .write property to not data exists. And again, you can look through the documentation to see all the different things. Let's see, is this right here? I think I've got this right. Color data, open bracket, close bracket. $entry, open bracket, close bracket, .write, not data exists. This should hopefully give me a little bit more protection. I'm going to hit publish. And now, click back to database. Oh, get started. Where is it? Oh, well, maybe I haven't, because I haven't written any data yet. Let's now run this again. What is that? That's kind of brownish, I guess. There we go. Looks like it saved the data successfully. And let's go now back to here and see what we've got. There we go, colors, and here it is. There's my first data point. I could go and add a bunch more. Reddish. Oh, right, what I wanted to do is then also have it pick a new color. So as soon as it finishes, data saves successfully, let's say pick color, and we'll get a new one. Right, because it's going to pick color. Pick color should also draw the color. So that's greenish, greenish, bluish, bluish, greenish, purplish, greenish. Oops, oh, I messed up, but that's okay. Reddish, greenish. Okay, so I think we're done. This is finished. I'm going to put this somewhere on the internet, maybe clean it up and add some interface stuff to it. But just here we can quickly see my data set. These are all the things that I've entered so far with the RGB values and the label. Okay, so now what I'm going to do between now and the next video is I'm going to let this live for a bit, try to collect the data. I might have to clean the data a bit, which I'll talk about, put it into a spreadsheet, figure out what I want to do with it. And then I'll see you in the next video, and I'll start to work on building the machine learning model to actually train a model based on this data. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Could I do something where I make it, could I do something by adding security where if I make it readable or writable only from a certain IP address or something? So you have to use the particular. Oh, color data to colors. I didn't match it. Shoot. Oh, that should be colors. Okay, let me go back. This should be colors, right? Maybe, Matthew, you can splice this in the middle of the video. We could do this thing again. Oops. Oops. Color data should actually be colors. Let me try it again because I'm not clicked in. Okay. Oops. Color data, based on the way I wrote the code, should actually be called colors. So I'm just going to really fix that real quick. Colors. And so apologies for that, but now it's corrected. And whoops. I can't get back. I can't get back. There I'm back. Goodbye. Okay. I don't know. Sorry, Matthew. Don't hate me. I'll do it one other way. Oh, this is actually incorrect. This should actually be, because in my code, it needs to match what I wrote here, colors. So if I go back to this, this should actually be colors, and then, and there we go. Okay, and the rules are published. Maybe that'll splice in. I don't know. All right, so hold on. Set global right to false to test. What would that do? I don't understand what will, okay, so, oh, you mean, oh, like just do this? I don't understand. It's letting me do it. Yes. Oh, publish this. Oh, this now won't let me do anything. Just to test that it's like, huh? But it let me do it. Shouldn't let me not write now? If I can't write? If you make .write false, then you need to run a server that's writing the data on behalf of the user. I am not BJAMCES. How is this stopping us, the viewers, just filling your database with junk? It's not. I'm relying on your goodwill. Oh, I see. Oh, I can write to colors only. I see. So this is now the whole database is closed, but colors is open. Okay, I should come back. Got it. One more time. Oh boy, this is fun, isn't it? One more time for the video editor. I made a bad mistake. I called the thing the wrong name. It's in my video that you're watching now. There's 5 minutes of me just playing the ukulele in front of a green screen. Oh, just kidding. All right. All right, stop for a second. I made some errors here, or I could in the permissions, in the rules there behind me. So let me come back and actually show you what's wrong here. So first of all, color data. Bring this back up. Color data should not be called color data. It needs to match. It needs to match what is actually in the video here. It's called colors. All right. So I could change this to color data, but since I've already done it, added some data, I'm going to change this to colors. And then this, which, shoot, it has already changed to false. Oh, one more time for good measure. Do you guys have anywhere you need to be? What was like 5 people left watching this? This is my process, okay? Don't mess with the process. Stop, I made a mistake. Okay, so let me bring this back up here and transition back to the computer. So I made some mistake in the rules right behind me there. Basically, a couple things. Number one. Oh boy, how many times do I get to do this? Oh boy. Again. Stop. I made a mistake there that's kind of important for me to correct. So let me get back here to the computer. Oops, no, that doesn't work. Twister here. All right, so look at this. I made some mistakes. These are the rules that I just wrote, but color data is incorrect. So first of all, color data needs to match the database reference that's in my code, and I call that colors, not color data. I could change this now to color data here, but since I already added a bunch of data under colors, let's go change this to colors. Now, the other thing that I want to change here is I want to make this false. Because this now, what I want, I mean, even though this is still kind of wide open and people could fill the database with data that I don't want and fill it up I'm hoping the internet is not going to do that. I will clean all that out anyway. But at the very least, you can only now write to the colors table itself, and you can only write if there, you can't overwrite somebody else's entry. So I'm going to hit publish here, and this should be better now, and you can go back and continue watching whatever nonsense I was doing in the other part. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Okay, so now I just need to put this somewhere. And people can pull requests to make this better. So let's go to github.com coding train. Let me make a new repository. Crowd source color data. Crowd for crowd sourcing color data for a machine learning classification example. Public readme create repository. Let's just upload this. Let's just actually just do this. Code direct from video. Dear diary, I have designed a terrible interface. I also did not do anything to secure the data in Firebase. Help me, Internet. You are my only hope. Sincerely, Daniel, no slides, Sheafman. No one will get that joke. Choo-choo. Choo-choo, Dan. All right, commit. All right, processing your files, settings, master branch, save. So how long do we have to wait? We now can go to codingtrain.github.io/crowdsource color data. Is that the right URL? It'll tell me in the settings. Why did I go away from that? Where was that? Settings. Here we go. There we go. So let's make sure this is actually still working. What's that? Greenish? Okay. Yellowish, greenish, purplish, bluish, greenish. I'm just going to do this for a while. Bluish, brownish, bluish, bluish, greenish, orangish, greenish, purplish. You guys don't pinkish, bluish, reddish. Oh, grayish, bluish, purplish, purplish, greenish, greenish, bluish, reddish, greenish, purplish, greenish. All right. All right. So here we go. Oy vey gewalt. This is, come on, Internet. Be kind. Oh, boy. Okay, Internet. Be kind, Internet. Be kind, Internet. I will shut this down. I will shut this down. I won't make that classification tutorial. I pull this car over. All right, thanks, everybody. That's the end of today's live stream. Tomorrow, I am actually going to come back and actually build the TensorFlow.js model to TensorFlow.js model to do the classification. It is, what time is it? 2:30. And anybody have any questions? Boy, I got a lot of data already. Do you think is somebody flooding it? Or these are people just actually, that doesn't look gray. That doesn't look gray. That looks green. That looks green. Just gonna have to hope. Gonna have to hope that I have good data. All right, everyone. So I will see you tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow to make this classifier with TensorFlow.js. And that's all. I mean, clearly now, I gotta get the chords for the Coding Train song. It's time to say goodbye. I wish there was more time, but I've gotta go and go and eat some lunch. I can. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. When are you going to do a scratch coding challenge? Don't have any plans to. Do a scratch coding challenge. I don't have any plans to do a scratch coding challenge. Anybody has any ideas to help me, like write an algorithm to check that the data makes sense? That would be appreciated. But I'm gonna work on cleaning up this data set and use it tomorrow. Thank you, Coding Garden with CJ. It's closing time. Looks like the color isn't refreshing. I don't know what that means. Purplish, greenish, bluish, greenish. Ooh, sorry, purplish, reddish, purplish, greenish, pinkish. All right. Thank you to the new sponsors. How do I find the new sponsors? I think I have some email notifications for that. New sponsors. New sponsors, Jay Schoen and Tristan, thank you so much for your sponsorship. Google API key exposed on GitHub. Oh, I just got a security warning from GitGuardian that they detected my API key. I was saying something. I'm going to go. I'll be back tomorrow. I have nothing else to say. This has been Coding Train with me, your host, Dan. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow, 11:30, 12, something like that. Boy, do I have a lot of stuff to do. So I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. There was something I was saying, wasn't there? Firebase warning. The Firebase database color classification has reached its peak connections limit. That's good. At least they're protecting. All right. So thank you, everybody. Make a video with CJ. Yes, that would be fun. CJ actually plays the guitar, has a lot of talent. Really knows things about CSS and actual coding, like things. And yeah, I know you can see my Firebase key. And I'll see you all in the future. Okay, I'm gonna hit, I guess I'll play you out with my trailer. Oh, no, I was talking about the sponsorship. Yes, sorry, if you are a new sponsor, go to the community tab, look at the post that's sponsors only, and there's a link to a Google form there to submit your YouTube username and email address. That's the only way for you to get a Slack invite. I don't have any automatic way to transfer your YouTube sponsorship to Slack other than a manual process. That's what I was saying. Okay, goodbye everybody. I don't have a Discord, I'm using Slack. I don't know. Maybe I should use Discord instead. We have this discussion in the Slack channel like once every few weeks, but I don't have the time or energy necessarily to do it. All right. Okay, goodbye. This is the trailer, or the outro, and goodbye.
Let's find something we want to make, some crazy idea. We'll figure out what it takes to make that dream appear. We'll try to understand now expression as